Yes. You are on mute.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to this session of personal power. And before we get into the session, there are some things I would like you all to think about. Like have 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 you ever felt that the negative habits that we have are actually running our life? Now, whether we call it running our life or at times, though, I used to feel it's ruining our life. Yeah. Have you ever felt that? And if you can reply in the chat box, that would be really great. Have you also ever felt that life would be so much more easier if we had some superpower, like, the Spider-Man or like Krish? So they can do what they want. Having that kind of superpower would really help me to lead the life that I want. So, have you ever felt like that? And if answer to any of these questions is yes, then I would like, uh, you know, there is a way to uncover hidden power within yourself that unlocks the best version of yourself. And my question to you is, would you like to really get into this session of uncovering a power that you already have within yourself and how we can utilize that power to lead a life that you want? And I would like to really, break down the words here. Lead the life that you want. Lead as in you are a leader of your own life. You are leading your life. You are not leading the life that has been defined by, maybe by your parents or by your friends or by your spouse. So it's more about you leading your own life. So yes, if that is a thought that you have, then I would really like your participation and attention to this particular session, for the ones who are present here live and for the ones who are watching the recording. So first of all, thank you all for being present in the live here, because I know we have busy lives, and once we are back home in the evening times, we have so many things to do, and yet you choose to be present here, very religiously, very attentively. Thank you for your participation here. It really means a lot. And I am, by the way, Preeti Gandhi, and I'm a graphologist and a graphoanalytical therapist. And today we are going to take a fascinating journey of personal power through the lens of handwriting. Would that be interesting? Yeah. Thank you for your
Yes.
answers. Thank you for your answers. And in this 45 minutes, what I am, what we will be exploring, we are going to explore three things. Thank you. Thank you for your answers. We are going to explore three things. The first thing that we are going to explore is what is personal power, what it means for you, so that you can lead a life of your choice. Yeah. The second thing that we are going to explore is what's graphotherapy? What is its connection to subconscious patterns and how you have the power to change them? Yeah, that's the second thing we are going to explore. The third thing we are going to explore is a WPG, which is a weekly practice group, where we are going to scientifically and systematically impact the subconscious patterns so you can willfully run a life of your choice. And you may wonder, okay, that's great, Preeti, that you would be taking us through all this, but why should I listen to you? So let me share a little about myself. As you know, I'm Preeti Gandhi, a graphologist and a graphoanalytical therapist. In the last 4 years alone, I have been able to impact hundreds of lives where they are able to lead their own life in areas of health, in areas of relationship, in areas of career, in areas of money. And before that, I was in fact co-founder of an advertising agency, and I was running that for 21 good years. And then the journey of a graphotherapist started. And why am I doing this? Because while my life was really, my career was going great, it was giving great uh, results to me financially in terms of career satisfaction. But at an emotional level, uh, things were not really that good. I got into a pattern of saying yes to anyone and everyone. I got into a pattern of passive anger because when you say yes to everyone, there is an anger with yourself that why are you saying yes when you actually mean no? And I remember a day where I kind of really broke down and I was like, this has to end. I cannot continue living a life like this. And that's when I revisited my my hobby of handwriting. And as they say, rest is history. I found a treasure, a power within the handwriting and graphotherapy. And today I live a fulfilled life. I live a life that I'm excited about. Every day I am like, what can I do today? What can I do today to impact a life, to impact a life in a way that a ripple effect is created. So it's not just that life that's impacted, but it is the life of the people around them in their environment. So that is my mission now, to spread this beautiful and powerful science of handwriting and help people create a life of their liking, a life that they dream of. So with that, I would really like you all to do a small exercise. Do you have a paper and pen with you? Do you happen to have a paper and pen with you? If you do
Yes.
not, yes, thanks for that. If you do not, just quickly get a paper and pen. And here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to write, my name is, and whatever your name is, in your normal, regular handwriting. Just let me know once you have done that. In your regular normal handwriting, just write my name is dash. So, for example, if Minuji is writing, then like my name is Minu Minocha. So once you're done, just give me a thumbs up or say done in the chat box so I can go to the next step. I know it must be like it's 8 o'clock in the evening, Preeti, and you're asking me to write. But yes, there is a wonderful power in this movement of our hands. And that's what we are exploring. That's what we are getting connected with. So once you have written that, I would like you to write the same sentence in double the size that you have written right now, in double the size of handwriting. So let me know once you have done that. Can somebody volunteer to let me know whether they have done it or not? Shabana ji, can I ask you to request you to volunteer?
Yes.
Thank you so much. So have you written in double the size of your handwriting?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Rajvin has also written. Thank you, Rajvi. for nodding. Okay, now the next I would like you to write whatever is your normal writing size. I would like you to write in half of that, like very small, very tiny writing. Write my name is whatever your name is. Is that done, Shavana ji?
Yes, yes, add.
Yes. Okay. Okay. And I would like you to consider your how you felt writing these three things. One is your regular writing, then double the size, and then a very small size. How was the experience? Would someone like to share? Which which one felt comfortable? Which one felt very uncomfortable?
I think both writing big and small was a bit uncomfortable. You have to make sure okay, it is yes double or it is half of it or something.
Okay. Okay. Now, when you go through this experience of writing different than your normal, you will realize some resistance there, some discomfort there. That is because we are used to writing in a certain way. It has become our habit to write in this particular way. And when you change that habit, the brain and body will show its discomfort and it will not let you write smoothly. You will have to stop in between. You will have to check whether what you're writing is correct or not. That's because our brain is used to writing a certain way. And many of you must be knowing that handwriting is actually brain writing. It is our subconscious patterns that are showing up. So when you look at it on a broader perspective, when you try to write differently, there's discomfort. When you try to break an existing habit, there is discomfort. When you break the habits that are influencing your life right now, it is going to be discomfort. But when you do it in a systematic and scientific way, it becomes easier to create new patterns. And that is, and okay, okay, yes. Okay, and that is the power we would be using. Is my video clear? Is my video and audio clear?
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay.
Only there was a slight
There was a
interruption.
slight. Yeah, okay. So with that understanding, I would now like to jump into the first topic of the day, which is personal power. Now, when I say personal power, what it actually means, one is personal, that is me, myself, and the power I hold. So when you look at it, so you look at it from your perspective, that like the person and the power you hold. Now, personal power is the ability to respond to a certain situation. And if you see here, I'm using the word respond and not react. I will come to the word reaction later. So it is the ability to respond. And you are able to respond to a situation when you have clarity, when there is trust in oneself, when there is the ability to handle stress, when you know that you can take the responsibility and you can actually step into your own potential. When you have this ability, you are able to respond to a situation. And there are hundreds of decisions we make every single day, hundreds of decisions, because there are hundreds of situations that show up. Now, every time you are making a decision, you are actually either reacting or responding. And when you respond, you are coming from a space of personal power. What is the opposite of that? So personal power, let's call it PP, personal power, yeah, abbreviation. Now, what's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is PD, that is power depletion. So when I talk about PD, that is power depletion, it blocks your power. And it all comes from the subconscious patterns and beliefs. The pattern, when you're writing the writing in a particular way, that's the pattern. Now, those patterns may work for you, those patterns may not work for you. So many a times, a lot of times, the subconscious patterns and belief system, they are not working in our favor. They are blocking our power. And and most of the times, the reasons that our power depletes is because of the beliefs and patterns of stress, of anxiety, of self-doubt, of overthinking, of being fearful, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of someone questioning, yeah, feeling out of control, the procrastination, not taking decisions on time. Now, these are patterns that block our power and hence block our success. So, what eventually happens because the power is depleting is that the ability to make strong and clear choices, they fade. And then we start reacting. So, you must have heard, fight or flight reaction, the fight or flight reaction. In fact, there are more two F's to it. So, our reaction has four types. We either fight, whoever person comes in, we fight over there, or we flight, we run away from the situation, or the third one, we freeze. It is so overwhelming that we just freeze. We are not able to do anything. The fourth is the fawn pattern, FAWN, where you become the people pleaser. You say yes to everything. That's the reaction. You do not even consider, you do not let those situations go through your mind. You just immediately say yes. And these are the reactions. And these reactions come because we do not let our brain, our mind think. Our brain goes in either of these modes, and we just say yes, or we say no, or we run away without thinking it through. And that is the power depletion. So, the first thing that we were talking about was the personal power. And personal power has two elements. The positive way, the personal power comes from clarity, from trust, from ability to handle stress. And when you are not working from personal power, it's because there's power depletion, that is PD. And we saw what happens when you react. When you react, there are four patterns: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, it's like, okay, Preeti, you told me the problem. What do I do with it? Well, our handwriting, a skill that we have learned at the age of 6, is a very powerful skill that we already know. And when we write in a very intentional way, then that is known as graphotherapy. So the second thing that we are going to talk about is graphotherapy and how it impacts the subconscious patterns. As we have seen in the first topic that we covered, the personal power or the power depletion, that these are patterns, these are belief system that we have, that not being able to trust ourselves, having doubt on ourselves, not able to take criticism or feedback from people. These are patterns that we have formed over the years. And handwriting reflects those patterns. And when we practice in a very intentional way, deliberate way, certain patterns. So I'm not necessarily talking about handwriting. It's about certain patterns that we practice that has the ability to rewire our brain. And new wiring is formed in our brain, which helps us to respond in a different way. Like right now, though little unwillingly, we wrote in and we wrote in a smaller writing, which was little uncomfortable. But when we practice the positive patterns intentionally, deliberately, that is known as graphotherapy. And that helps us to rewire our brain to form new patterns, new subconscious thinking that helps us to come into our personal power, to work from a space of power. And that is why this science is so beautiful, because you don't have to learn anything new. You're utilizing an existing skill that you have, and you're telling your brain to adapt new pattern and let go of the reactive, the stress driven patterns that is currently there, the behavior patterns that are currently there. So what do we do? So that's the second part of graphotherapy. Now, graphotherapy and graphology are something that go hand in hand. Graphology, also popularly known as handwriting analysis, also a lot of people know it as signature analysis, tells what are your current patterns. And graphotherapy helps you break those patterns. So that's the connection between graphology and graphotherapy. The third part that we are going to talk about is the WPG, which is the weekly practice group. So what we have been talking quite often about, how we can bring this science in a more simpler fashion to people, where they do not really have to go through too much of trouble, where we connect each other, where we connect with each other once in a week. We practice an empowering graphotherapy pattern in a group. So the group energy is there. So the accountability is there. So each week we will take one specific graphotherapy stroke, a combination, and practice that. So this is the third thing I'm talking about. First is we understood about our personal power, what it means to be in personal power, how we respond to a situation when we work from a space of personal power. The second thing we spoke about is how graphotherapy comes in play, how graphotherapy can help us rewire our brain and hence break those, power depleting behavior pattern. So graphotherapy becomes an empowering way of writing certain strokes. The third thing we are talking about is how do we do it? So we are going to launch a program where we will have a weekly practice session. Once a week we will meet. I will take you through a particular stroke, how to practice it, what is the right way to write it. I will also be giving you a special PDF which you can take a printout and practice on that, because our regular books will not really give a proper guidance to write it. So I will be sharing a special PDF with you and you can practice. We will be practicing on that. We will be having certain question prompts where we will be exploring together what are certain limiting beliefs, how it is impacting my life today, how it is not letting me take certain decisions or think through the the life situations that I'm presented with. So that is what we will be doing on a weekly basis, where we would be having. So I'll give you an example. Like, so we spoke about four patterns, the reaction pattern, which don't serve us: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So now I was working with a doctor in Kerala, and she had two of these patterns. She had the pattern of fawn, which is very people pleasing pattern, and the pattern of flight. If there was a challenging situation that came, she would just run away from there. Okay. So after consistent graphotherapy practice, she was able to see a very distinct shift in this pattern. Yeah. There was another person I was working with. He was working in a company in Bangalore, and he had the reaction pattern of freeze. So if any colleague or his superiors, seniors would come and say something to him, he would be in a frozen mode. So he would just be listening, and the people in front of him would think that this person cannot really understand what I'm saying because the person is not responding. So that is the freeze pattern. The fourth pattern is the fight pattern, where the person kind of comes head on. And some ways in which you show the fight pattern is one of them is through anger. When you are just not okay with what's happening, You show your anger, you fight it out with the person. And while anger may seem to be an empowering thing, actually, anger comes from a space of helplessness. It's like when you feel you can't do anything else, you just throw out your anger. And that is one of the way of fight mechanism. So there was this lady, she was a homemaker, insurance agent. And her pattern of reacting, the subconscious pattern of reacting was fight. So if anything happened, she would just get angry. And people in her house started boycotting her because anything would happen and she would shout, she would scream. So people conveniently started by boycotting her. So this is the impact that happens when we react to a situation. Either it's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. In short, these patterns, they do not serve us. They do not work in our favor. So we would be taking up these patterns in our weekly practice session. So in week one, we would be taking up one pattern, understanding how it is showing up in your life, doing a certain graphotherapy practice so that the new wiring begins. And that is the third element, the WPG, the weekly practice group. How it will be benefiting you is that uh, there will be more awareness about self through these graphotherapy strokes. There'll be a different kind of awareness. There'll be a different kind of calmness that you will begin to feel, because once a week we would be meeting, we would be doing a particular stroke practice, and then I will be giving you certain practices to do the rest of the days. And as you practice every day, the brain slowly and steadily starts responding to the new wiring that we are encouraging through the new graphotherapy strokes. And when you do that, there is a sense of calmness, awareness. You will find impacting your stress, and there will be an accountability and support in the group. You will be seeing that kind of long-term resilience coming in your space, and you will finally feel that you are in power. You are functioning from a space of power, from a space of self-awareness. And that is the objective. If currently we are in a power depletion state, that is the PD state, how do we get ourselves into the PP state, that is the personal power state? And that is the objective of the weekly uh, practice group, which we would be starting next to next week. The details of that will be shared by Shabana ji in the group. And that is what the practice sessions are going to be about. It will be for 6 weeks. And the cost of that is actually 3,999. But for the participants present here and those of you seeing live, if you're able to enroll yourself within a week, then you get it at a price of 1,999. 6 weeks of graphotherapy practice with question prompts, with a group, with accountability happening through the group. This is going to be a really power-packed way of changing your inner wiring, of changing those patterns that are not serving you right now. So that is what I really wanted to talk about in today's session. Introduce this weekly sessions, the power groups that we are talking about. And if you have any questions now, please, you are welcome to ask them to have more clarity.
I think